The 1960s were a worrying time for Sweden's environment. Toxins, it seemed, were everywhere. The sight of dying fish and forests touched a chord. Urgent intervention was needed. In 1967, Sweden became the first country to establish a national environmental protection agency. 2 years later, it was first to introduce an Environmental Protection Act. From then on, companies were held responsible for their emissions and environmental footprint. At the same time, the government launched a system of incentives for eco-friendly technology. It also started funding industrial research programs to develop new ways to tackle environmental challenges. Progress was remarkable. As an example, by the late 1970s, Sweden had become a world leader in filter technology for sulfur, dust and heavy metal emissions. Meantime, another trend was paving the way for the CleanTech boom. Between 1952 and 1974, central government transferred wide-ranging powers to municipal councils. This decentralization created a strong local framework for environmental policymaking, delivering real change on the ground. Boosted by the right to levy local income tax, municipalities were able to take risks and invest long-term. They kept faith, for instance, in biogas through the early years when the technology was initially unprofitable. This governance model promotes technological progress and an integrated and holistic approach to sustainable development. It also spurs cooperation between the public sector, private business and academia. Unlocking the synergies between urban systems delivers more for less. We call this approach SymbioCity. Let's take a closer look at some of SymbioCity's building blocks, its technology and know-how. Sweden has revolutionized its waste disposal in a few short decades. For many years, most household waste was buried in landfill. Then a new waste management policy was introduced in the 1970s, and today less than 1% of household waste goes to landfill. The aim is to recycle all recyclable material, or where that's not possible, to incinerate it for energy recovery. District heating utilizes energy that would otherwise be largely wasted. In the 1950s and 1960s, Sweden's municipalities took a lead in building communal district energy networks, another example of proactive local government. District heating not only makes cities cleaner, it has also cut Sweden's national CO2 emissions by 20% in 2 decades. In the 1970s and 1980s, successive oil crises and nuclear accidents kick-started a new debate on how to develop alternative energy forms. And so emerged a groundbreaking policy initiative, a strategy for biofuels. Biofuel development really took off after introduction of a carbon tax in 1991. Today, biofuel is Sweden's largest energy source, accounting for almost 32% of total energy supply. Biogas has been produced in Sweden's wastewater treatment plants since the 1960s. Strong investment in research and development saw biogas production flourish to such an extent that it reduced our oil dependency and waste residues. As much as 50% of the biogas produced in wastewater treatment is now converted into vehicle fuel. All inner-city buses in Stockholm and other main cities in Sweden run on biogas or ethanol. Here, Sweden takes a holistic approach based on a 4-step model that's inspired development, innovation and bold action. It's about saving on journeys, converting to clean energy, encouraging non-motorized transport and enabling public and shared alternatives. Everything's connected. By marrying a holistic mindset with commitment to innovation, we've managed to break the link between growth and carbon emissions. Back in 1980, fossil fuels accounted for 66% of total energy use across all sectors. By 2012, this figure had dropped to 26%. We've overcome many challenges. Now the task is to move towards carbon neutrality. We're already underway. Just watch us go.